Hey, good evening, everyone. It's your professor here, and I'm here to teach you a little bit about creating a database, creating a table, and inserting data into that table. But unlike in your database course, this is going to be doing it purely with PHP and SQL. So, if you installed Bitnami or another WAMP, MAMP, or LAMP set, you should have MySQL installed on your machine right now. So, and how you access MySQL uh, will differ if you did a different installation than with Bitnami. I'll show you how to do Bitnami here, and if you need to use the workbench, if you used a Mac or anything like that, then you can go ahead and use that to check your work here. But so what we're going to do is we're going to start with our PHP code, and here we are. And I'm going to try to adjust this so that you can much more easily see it. Okay, there we go. That way I'm not in the way here. So what we do is we do the same thing we do for every PHP script. We open up our PHP tag up at the top and we close it at the bottom. Um, and then in here we're creating variables. That's what these $ items are here. And we create variables that are server name, username, and password. So the server name is referring to where the server is located. If it was somewhere else, we would put in the address there. However, this is localhost, so it is connecting right to this machine. So we can just connect right to it. Now, this username and password here, this was created during your installation of Bitnami or when you set up MySQL altogether. Um, I hope you remembered it because you're going to need to know it now. So I used root for the username and ABC123. Now, you shouldn't be using the root username uh, when you're doing this in production or anything like that, but for testing here, we can. So what we're going to do is we're going to then create a connection. So $new MySQLi, and we set the server name, the username, and the password. And what we then do is we check the connection. So if the connection is an error, so connect underscore error, we then alert you connection failed, and we show what the error is. Otherwise, we continue on down the line here. So we create a new variable called $SQL. And what we're doing with this is we're creating a database. So create database. Now, I'm not going to teach you SQL altogether, but here are some simple calls. And if you wish to get this source code, you can go right to the W3 Schools page and go into PHP and go into the MySQL database area. And you can copy it right from there, or you can, type it yourself. So what we want to do is we want to check if the query runs true. Okay, so connection query SQL equals true. Then we echo out to the user, database created successfully. So that means we created a database successfully. Otherwise, show us the error of creating it. And then we close the connection. You should always close the connection after you're done. Okay, so I saved this into a PHP file. It's called createdb.php. And so let's try to run that. So localhost /createdb.php. Boop. All right, database created successfully. Now, how do we check that? Okay, I'm going to check it. In Bitnami, I can do it like this. So I open up the console for Bitnami, the Bitnami console where it has this, and you can see your servers running. And what you can do is you can open phpMyAdmin. And this is where you'd have to log in with that information. So root ABC123 is what I'm entering here. And I go. Okay, so check it out. MyDB is right here on the left-hand side. So we see that MyDB exists. So cool. The database exists, but there's nothing in it. So no tables found. So we have nothing in our database right now. So what we need to do is we need to create something in our database. So I created another script, create a table.php. Okay, so we're going to switch over to that. Okay, let's start up at the top. So here we are. Now you'll see we've opened up PHP just like we always have. We've done something different. We have another variable up here. We have the server name, username, password, but we also have the database name because now we need to refer to the database because that's where we want to create things. So we set the connection and we also set the database name inside establishing the connection. We set up our error handling here, right? And this die will stop all the code if it fails. So then we go down to here and we're creating the table. So we're creating a table called myGuess. And we're setting a few fields here. So this ID is an integer, it auto increments, and it's the primary key. There we'll have plenty of room to put in people because of that. We then have a first name, which is a varchar. It can't be null. We have a last name varchar, not null. We have an email address, varchar50, and then we have a registration date, timestamp. Now we're going to manually input data here, but what we're going to do after this is make it work with our form. So what we're going to do with our form is insert into this table. So if connection query SQL equals true, which is this little command right here, we then say table myGuess created successfully. We echo that out. Otherwise, echo that we had an error. And then we want to insert data into the table. So we're going to insert $SQL, insert into myGuess, first name, last name, email. Now, you'll notice that we aren't inserting all of the fields. We don't insert the first one because it's an auto increment. That just automatically increments and inserts there. And we don't insert the registration date because it's taking a timestamp of this time. So we're all set there. So we're inserting into myGuess, first name, last name, email, John Doe, john@example.com. Perfect. Easy. If it works, new record created successfully. Otherwise, error out. And then either way, close the connection. Looks good. Hopefully it works. I think it will. So let's go to create a table.php. There we go. So table myGuess created successfully. New record created successfully. Great. Okay. Let's check it. Let's make sure that we actually did, because maybe my code didn't really do anything. So let's go back into the PHP myadmin, and we'll refresh that. And there we go. So we see that we got our table in here at the very least. And I got to wait for it to finish going. So I'm going to browse the table myGuess, because that's in there. And here's our one record, John Doe, john@example.com, with an ID of 1 and a registration date of 3/28/2019 at about 10:45. Some spare change for seconds. So that all worked. So what we've done is we've worked with SQL and the MySQL database from our PHP scripts. Now this can give you some power because now you can see how you might be able to use it with a form. So that's what we're going to do in the next few days. And in fact, if you want to go ahead and try it yourself, you can try seeing if you can write to the table with a form, because you should be able to make that leap. You know how to make a form now that sends data to the script. So in that script, you should be able to write out to the database using the data that you're pushing over from the form. However, if you want to take it easy, that's fine. But get this to work at the very least. Show that you can actually you can create a database, create a table, and insert into a table. So let's get that going. you'll have a homework over the weekend. I'll post the homework tomorrow, and I'll send you all a message. So, but check out this video, and I hope that you all have a great evening. Take care, everyone. Thanks again.